Hello, hello. This is Mina, and you are listening to the 2K Days podcast. More and more people are realizing that business can be an extremely powerful force for good if you could just figure out your marketing. On this show, you'll hear from amazing impact entrepreneurs and learn effective new strategies to help you generate revenue and radical change with your conscience intact. I'm joined today by the incredible Jennifer Wilkov. Jennifer is an energized advocate for women speaking up at home, in their companies, in their businesses, and anywhere women are. Jennifer is the founder of the Speak Up Women community and the host of the Speak Up Women conference. Here's what she has to say. I'm so glad you're here because I really do, as we'll talk about, really do love the work that you're doing. And
Oh, thanks. I
um,
appreciate that. I'm excited to do this with you, Minna. Thank you for the opportunity, really.
my pleasure. And I really enjoyed speaking with you at the last Speak Up Women conference. Threw it out there, honestly, as one of those don't be the one to tell yourself no. Because you just
Oh,
gather,
okay.
yeah, you gather so many wonderful women, so many incredible powerhouse women. So I wanted to
Thanks.
have you on to join me so we could talk about what Speak Up Women is all about.
Speak Up Women is a really fantastic opportunity for women to act out why it's important to speak up. And speaking up is such an amazing tool for women to use, but many of them have never been acknowledged, heard, or understand that they even have it. And everybody is born with the right to speak. Everybody is born with the opportunity to speak, but women don't always speak up because women have oftentimes been trained not to. The Speak Up Women community is really all about women's expression, self expression, and why that's important. So, women's empowerment is a term that's tossed around a lot for a lot of different things. Speaking up is something that you always had the power in you. It's really like Glinda the Good Witch, right? You always had it all along. It's just understanding that it's important for you to actually use that beautiful voice for informing, educating, inspiring others to help you live the life you imagine. And so if you speak up and you actually let someone know what you want, what kind of help you're looking for, if you ask for something, if you tell someone that something that they said or did doesn't feel good, or that it doesn't bring you joy to be around that or near that, or to be treated that way, it really is something that's very empowering, not in a power way, but it's really a way of communicating that tells you whether or not the person you're speaking to understands and cares. And when they actually don't respond, that's a sign for you to understand that you have the opportunity to take that beautiful voice, that beautiful ask, that beautiful want, that beautiful, I want to do this wonderful thing in the world somewhere else, to people that do think that it's important, people that do want to hear what you have to say, and people that do want to help you do what it is you said you wanted to do. Because, you know, being a human being is not a solo sport. When you actually are around people that are quote unquote on your team, they want to hear what you have to say. And Speak Up Women is a community of women that want to speak up. They want to speak up at home. They want to speak up in their relationships, whether it's a spouse, a child, a parent, a relationship, a friend, a neighbor in their community, or they want to speak up in their workplace. Maybe it's both. They want to speak up with their boss, their colleagues, their vendors, their patients, their clients. It's a skill that's required in all spaces. Sometimes we find ourselves in places where we unexpectedly have to or want to or need to speak up for another who can't speak up for themselves. And that's something that is, I'm really all about educating people about and Speak Up Women, because becoming an unlikely, involuntary advocate for someone is something that people often find themselves in suddenly and unexpectedly. So it's something that they really probably don't have a lot of training in, and they don't know what to do. There's also many women that I know who want to speak up for causes they care about. And when they do, they use that beautiful voice to actually become an ambassador and to inform others about the wonderful things that they are contributing to and participating in to do good things in the world for others. And so, Speak Up Women is really just the simple idea of how important it is to speak up.
I love it. It's beautiful and it's so important. And I know, I mean, I had the honor of speaking at one, so I know that you do conferences and we'll talk about the one coming up on I want to say April 1st here in just a minute. But before we get there, what are other ways that you support women as they start to speak up or become speak up curious, I guess?
I like that. Speak Up Curious. That's fun. Um, Speak Up Women, if you actually put Speak Up Women, type it into Google as a search term. Um, speakupwomen.com is the number one result that you'll find out of 1.5 trillion searches a day. We own the first page. We are the very first result. All our social media is there. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. We're also on Pinterest, TikTok. Our YouTube channel is launching. And, it's one of the things that if you want to plug in, you can. And so part of what is important about Speak Up Women is we also have what we call blogs for women. And those blogs for women help women get inspired about how to speak up in various roles and relationships and situations in their lives. And Minnie, you wrote some great articles for us that are out there as well. As a speaker at Speak Up Women, you have the privilege of being able to write articles on the blog. And it's one of the things that we pride ourselves on is to help women better understand the different places and spaces where you would be speaking up and why it's important to do it there. And more importantly, some tips for how to do it.
I love it. And so, in your spaces that you're creating, I'm hearing that you're not just helping women speak up, you're also helping them learn what it feels like to be heard.
That's right. That's right. Because for a lot of women, I think that we pride ourselves on being able to express ourselves. And when somebody makes us feel unheard, it has an impact on us. And understanding that taking your voice to people that want to hear what you have to say is more important than trying to continually speak to deaf ears, and I have friends who are deaf, so it's not that type of comment. It's really about you want to speak to the people who can hear you and who are interested and who appreciate what you have to say. It's not about whether or not they agree with you. That's different. But how can someone agree or disagree with you, Minute, if they can't hear you? They really can't because they haven't taken the first step of communication 101, which is actively listen to what somebody else is saying before you say something else and make sure that you understand it. And if you don't understand it, ask for clarity. Is this what you meant? I'm not sure I heard that correctly. And if you're speaking, do your very best. Everybody's human, nobody's perfect. To communicate in the tone, style, and words that you feel are going to be clearest to somebody else.
Oh, wow, that's powerful because I mean, it is, and it's about more, it's about so much more than power, right? These are the connections that form the fabric of the world.
That's right. And uh, in this uh, in this very strange, odd time that we live in, I'll call it. Um, the people that are moving forward are the people that are locking arms and running forward with joy and grace and peace and looking to do good for others. And the good comes back to them. And that's my intention with Speak Up Women as a community, is to help women understand the importance of their voice, to help them plug in to their own voice, and plug into us at Speak Up Women so that they can be inspired, understand that it's okay. There are lots of rewards on the other side of the canyon, and when you come to the other side, the water's fine. Dip your toe in, give it a whirl, and open your mouth and tell people what you think and what you feel and what you want. It's a good thing.
Yes, and it's wonderful to be in the spaces that you create because it feels good also to be heard. And then, once you've been heard, also to be able to sit back again and listen. And today, I'm so grateful to be in community and in power with you today on, as we're recording this, National Women's Day and for Women's History Month. Um, Speaking up and being heard are two totally different things. I saw a meme earlier today that said, stop empowering me and pay me. And so I wonder, even even when we're being even when we're being honored, we're not always necessarily being heard or treated equitably.
Correct. Across a lot of fields, industries, and even at home, right? And so, International Women's Day means a lot to me. I think that International Women's Day is a celebration of women and how far we've come. But and as we celebrate how far we've come, let's all look at the IRL, the in real life representation of where we are, and the fact that where we are is just like everybody else, we're still moving forward. We're still rising. We've broken glass ceilings in multiple places and multiple spaces and industries. And there is a reason why we celebrate International Women's Day. There's a reason why we're elevating women on that day. Did you ever notice there's no International Men's Day?
No.
It never occurred to you that there's no International Men's Day? I know there's a National Sons Day, there's a National Daughters Day, there's a National Dog Day, there's a National Chocolate Day. But, there's a reason why there's an International Women's Day. It's sort of like, when I talk to people about, that talk about DEI, for example, and they talk about, race, age, color, gender, all different types of things. Um, it's like, that's a woman. It's not a woman who's a certain age, a certain gender, a certain color, a certain whatever. It's a woman who's actually asking to be treated equally. And it doesn't matter what age she is, what color she is, what gender she identifies with. It doesn't matter. She's a woman, and that woman should be treated equally. And so all the bells and whistles and flowers and candy are not going to put the same amount of money in her pocket as the man sitting in the cubicle or desk next to her, until somebody in the offices that actually want to say that women are treated equally here want to do it. And that's the bottom line. And I don't have any issues whatsoever speaking up about that, because I think that it's the reality. People can come up with all sorts of smoke and mirrors and, diatribes and all types of wonderful soapboxes. And I think that they're wonderful. But until the heart of the matter is addressed, we won't stop speaking up about it. Because when you actually look at what you saw today, I know you're a mom. I know that you have a family. I know you have little eyes that are looking up at you and watching and listening. And those little eyes and little ears are going to grow up. And I'm certain, if I had to guess, that you're one of those women, Minna, who wants them to live in a different world than you do, a better world, a different world, a world that changes its perspective of women and understands that we are equal. We can do a lot. We add a lot of value. We bring a lot of value. And that's why it's important to speak up, because it's not just us, it's for all those who will come after us. That's so important. It's really one of the things that I really take to heart, because I think that women that are of my age and women that are younger, I see them. I see them. I hear them. I see what's happening, and I see what's happening to their kids, especially their daughters. You can take your daughter to work as many times as you want, but until you can take your daughter to work and say, you know what, you see that guy? I make the same amount of money or more than that guy, right? It's not about the guy. It's not about the fact that he's a man. It's about, what are you worth as a woman, right? And what can you do? And what value can you add? And how can you contribute? Because I know in so many cases, there are so many women that just want to contribute, participate, and be acknowledged and appreciated. And who doesn't?
Mhm. One of the wonderful things that I have, one of the ways that I've evolved from being in your spaces is that my view of worthiness used to come from a phrase that I would say all the time. And this is from running in politics and being in the good old boys spaces completely irreverently. I would say, anything you can do, I can do pregnant.
Oh,
Which is great, and it was the power that I needed at the time, but it's also kind of ableist, right? And it is it really, now I think about it more as kind of defining my value on organs and whether or not I have them and whether or not they work, and womanhood has become so much more to me,
mhm,
and the idea, not the idea, but the truth that we don't need to validate our worth, equality,
no,
equity on what we can do and what condition or anything else. It is simply, like you said, a woman, regardless of any other attribute, a woman just spoke, and we need to hear that.
yep. I have, all kinds of information on the blogs for women at speakupwomen.com that you can read for, all about where, and it has happened to me in the workspace, where someone basically, uh, where an idea was discussed in a meeting that I suggested and started, and all of a sudden by the end of the meeting, it's somebody else's idea. And I know so many women who experience that and walk out and say, what the heck just happened? What happened? And you know what will happen to that woman, Minna? They'll stop. They'll stop speaking up because they're so frustrated that the ideas that they have are being adopted, created, and brought to life by other people who are getting the credit for it.
Mhm,
I worked at a company in consumer products, and at the time when I worked there, I actually did some work that was groundbreaking for the company, and created a prototype of a system that would actually bring that company into the 21st century in a way that no other company in that industry was doing.
mhm,
And the person that I was reporting to was a man. And that man told me that he was going to take all the stuff that I had done and the system prototype that I had created and present it to the CEO. And I was to stay in my office while he did it. And do you know what happened? I went down to his superior and I went into his office, and he was the vice president. And I said to him, is this what you want to happen? Is this what you're telling me that you want to happen? Is that this person who never worked a day, an hour on this system is now going to present my work to the CEO? Just tell me that's what you want. And do you know what the vice president did?
mm,
The vice president took me to the meeting and this other person and told the other person that he was going to sit down and be quiet while I presented it to the CEO of the company, who happened to be a woman. Go
That's
figure.
allyship.
Okay. So, there are men that do realize that women are very valuable, but if you don't speak up, I could have just said, okay, and bitten my fist in my office and grumbled and gotten frustrated and resentful or upset and left the company and did all kinds of other things, right? I could have whispered to other people, I could have gossiped or whatever. I went to the one pair of ears that could make that right and could make it change. And guess what? Because I went to the right set of ears and I told the right person what was happening and asked, is this really how we're going to do this?
Mhm.
And he said no.
And he otherwise wouldn't even have known that was going
He
on.
wouldn't have even known. He would have just gone to the meeting and seen that I wasn't there and gone on with the meeting because the meeting was scheduled in a very busy CEO's calendar.
Mhm.
There was money invested. I mean, there was a whole company investment where I had literally flown to all the locations of the company. I had done research in every department of the company. I knew all the inner workings of the company. I knew all of its inner workings in the marketplace, all the retailers that had provided information for us to build the system to actually communicate this information throughout our company so we could do better business with them. I mean, it revolutionized the company and they implemented it. I mean, after the prototype, the CEO was like, yes, this is exactly what we need. And my whole purpose for doing it, Minna, was because every time I would go to a meeting at that particular company, everybody came to the meeting with different numbers and would argue for an hour about whose numbers were correct. Talk about speaking up. I mean, everybody was squawking about whose numbers are correct. And I just got so sick of it. I was like, there has to be a way for us to solve this. And I went out and I figured it out and I built it and revolutionized the company and revolutionized the company's relationship with retailers. So,
Wow.
for me, that was something that was really an important component was if I wasn't willing to do that, that that presentation, can you imagine somebody presenting something that revolutionary that didn't know anything about its creation, didn't know why it was important that the information come from both inside our organization and the companies we were serving so that we could get it right? Like it was, it affected everything, everything, the bottom line of the company, the profits of the company, like, our relationships with other companies, like it was just 360 degrees. You can make mountains move. I mean, when you speak up and you just don't even realize you're doing it,
That's
but
amazing.
it's all for good.
You're listening to the 2K Days podcast for rebel business leaders generating revenue and radical change. This episode is being brought to you by the National Innovative Business Leaders Society. Find them at www.nibls.org. That's amazing. So you revolutionized this company and now you're revolutionizing the world. Spending Women's
That's my
History Month.
objective.
Yes, yes. Spending Women's History Month preparing for your next conference on April 1st. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would really love to do that because I'm so excited about the upcoming conference. The Speak Up Women conferences are all virtual so that people in every space and every time zone can participate. It is a 9 to 5 experience. This year, we're adding the dynamic of some networking breakouts to allow some of the women that are there to actually network with each other with a topic. And that's exciting. We have 2 panels that we actually have which are also really exciting. So I mentioned that we actually are focusing on both at home and at work. And so when you look at home and at work, one of the things that is important, both at home and at work, is having a recipe to speak up. And boy, do we have an amazing panel that is going to discuss exactly the ingredients you need in order to do that. And I'm so excited for everyone to meet them and listen to what they have to say because they're all coming at it from a different perspective, and it'll be really, really exciting. Then we also have another panel that's really about the workplace and speaking up with a leadership mindset. So, speaking up with a leadership mindset, the first thing you think of is the workplace, but you'll be surprised what you hear from these women about where a leadership mindset shows up in all areas of your life. Of course, it shows up in the workplace, but wherever you are, whether you are a mom like yourself who goes and actually does something to work with other parents, it can show up in your community, it can show up in your workplace, it can show up with the people that you lead anywhere, right? And so that's one of my favorite things is the panels. We also have some great talks that will also be encouraging you to unmute yourself, understanding why fear matters to your success, overcoming what I love is the diva doormat syndrome, becoming your being your own health advocate, which I'm a real proponent of. And for those who want to network, but are wallflowers, we're going to take you from wallflower to networking pro. And we want you to also, if you're in that burnout category, we're going to show you how to break up with burnout.
Ooh, I love it.
And for those who have had some traumatic experience in any way, shape, or form, we have a wonderful talk that is called You Survived, Now What? And learning how to speak up after trauma. And we're going to close the day with a really rockin' talk about creating community with our stories because minute when women speak up and share their stories with others, that's how we learn from each other. That's how we grow from understanding. And that's also how we get inspired because we hear somebody else doing something, saying something, changing something. And then we say, I want to do that too.
Yes, I love it. And now, something that's really special about you is, I mean, you have done groundbreaking work in places where women weren't supposed to speak up. But then you took that momentum and you've turned around and you've made a lifestyle out of bringing other women up onto the stage with you. How did
Where
that
they
take?
belong.
Yes, and see, that's such a an intrinsic part of you. So how did that take root? How did you make the decision to, I'm gonna stop and I'm going to focus on getting them talking?
Well, I think that women have a lot to say. And one of the things that I've seen over the years as someone who helps women set up and create their platforms for their speaking agendas, for their messages, for their books, for all kinds of things that they want to actually put out into the world to do good, I see them in a sea of noise and that they can't seem to break through with the message they have or reach enough people or reach or these days we also have measurements like how many likes, followers, fans, subscribers, all of these things, right? And so for me, one of the most important things was to first elevate the platform and do everything in my power that I already know how to do to get it to the top. And I did that in less than 1 month last year after some real careful planning of 5 months of putting all the pieces back together after surviving 7 near death experiences from a terminal cancer diagnosis that I actually lived through, died through, came through, and have now survived and thrived through. And so for me, I'm here. There's a purpose for me to be here. I have multiple ones. My personal why is to move humankind forward. And I believe the way that we do that is by sharing our stories with one another in so many forms, in so many insights, to never lose our curiosity, to actually take the chance, take the step, open your mouth, speak the words, tell people what it is that you want to do, what you want to bring, what you want to ask, what you want to get, what you want to find. This is what it's all about. Life is not a dress rehearsal. It's not a cliche. It is the truth. I have watched while I'm healing. I can tell you, I have watched other people, friends of mine, people who I hiked Kilimanjaro with, die while I'm healing. There's a reason my friends and close family tell me all the time there's a reason why I survived. It's a reason why I'm elevating other women's voices to help them get their message. I could say all the messages, Minna. I could go on and on and on and on and be on your podcast for the next year with all the messages. But why does it have to be just me? And that's where I am, is that I am astonished. I'm encouraged. I'm delighted to see all these women who resonate with the single concept of speaking up, and why that is so effervescent when you actually plug into it to lift you up, to bring you things you never thought you would ever be able to do, see, hear, touch, taste, and feel. And wow, what an amazing, amazing feeling it is when you actually have the freedom to speak up in a space where you're appreciated, heard, and that what you say is considered and understood. It's not about being heard over someone, and it's not about talking over someone. It's about being able to communicate in a way where you speak up. Just speak up, just talk. This is something that women of all ages, all stages, all genders, all races, all capacities have the power to do. And when they do them, and I can actually create a space where I can have other women say, me, I actually want to do this. Me, I want to do it. Right. Because they see somebody else that's on the stage and says, you know, if she could do that, I could do that too. I could really do that. Yeah, I want to go do that. And then wherever it is, and this is not, I too, me too. This is not what this is. This is really just about you do you. You be you, you go do you, and you go say what it is you want to say. That's speaking up. That's Speak Up Women. It's a simple concept. And if I can show you lots of other women who are actually doing the same thing in their way, with their message, in their particular perspective of it, let's go.
Yes. And I know you so put your money where your mouth is on this one. Like I said at the beginning, I don't get intimidated much. I'm usually pretty irreverent and just do whatever I want. But when I saw the ad for the call to speakers, I thought I would I would love to share what I know on this topic. I would love to be in a space and explain to these women why. Just talk, just speak and do it from your core. And I really had to tell myself that no might be the answer here, but you must not be the one to say it. And I clicked send on that application,
You know,
shivering.
it's great because, and I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I have had women who have submitted who have said, my friend dared me. My friend just found out about this and said, you should be speaking at this. Right. And we take that to heart because we can't see every woman. It's everything I just told you. And for a lot of people, um, a lot of women, they see their colleague, their friend, their, someone who they have as a mentor, for example, and they're like, boy, if other women could just hear what I just heard, I could never say it the same way. I could never do that, right? And I always say to people, Don't say no to yourself. If you don't throw your hat in the ring and you don't actually apply when we do a call for speakers, for example, or the job promotion comes up, or you want to actually go for that interview, you want to go for something else that you have to apply for, my good God, woman, do it. Do it, because otherwise you won't know on the other side what they're going to think. And the less judgment you place on yourself, the more freedom you will have to speak up and let them know exactly how you can shine. And
Yes.
that's one of the things that you did, Minna, when we looked at your application, when you were chosen to speak, is we were like, wow, look at what this young woman is doing. We're like, "Oh my goodness, people have got to know about this." And it was really how we felt, and it was genuine, and we responded, and if we're responding that way, imagine what we know is gonna happen when we can elevate that voice and actually amplify it with articles on our blog that we can make easier to see, and we can elevate you talking during our conference day so that women can actually plug into that. And like I said, we're just starting our YouTube channel, and there are so many ways you can plug into us. It really is, it's really an experience. That's all I hear all the time when people walk away from the conference is, what an incredible day. Wow, I didn't know there were other women that actually felt this way. And, oh, it just was like such a great feeling to be around these other women for just a few hours who actually understand this. And it made me feel more comfortable as a woman. It made me feel like I could do this in other spaces, and not just, in a breakout. And so that's what this is about. I lead other women's groups. I lead writing groups. I tell people all the time in the ground rules. This is about respecting each other. This is about looking for understanding and providing what you can as a positive deposit in somebody else's world. How can you make a positive contribution to somebody else's experience? Because long ago, we were all taught that you should do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. And if you don't agree with that and you do something to somebody else, just take 2 seconds to think of what it would be like for you if it was reversed and someone was actually doing that to you. I go for the good guys, Minna. I go for the folks that I feel like are really in it to help humanity move forward. And that's what it's really all about. Humankind is the combination of two words, human and kind. And it really does pay. And you can speak kindly, you can speak generously, and you can absolutely use that voice in so many positive ways. The alternative is really not of interest or an option to me because it's not going to actually do exactly what I came here to do.
Right. That makes so much sense. I know, and I will say very, very quickly, when you said yes, I started asking a lot more, and I really started speaking out a lot more, and I mean, n just exploded. It's amazing how many people want to say yes, but never get a chance to because you never ask. So I want others to have this experience. I want to know, how can people register for the conference, first of all?
Thank you for asking. If you go to speakupwomen.com, you will see our popover that will actually take you directly to the conference. You will be able to see if you also just put Speak Up Women into a Google window browser, you'll see the conference. You click on that, it'll take you directly to the conference site. On the homepage, you'll see our countdown. Subscribe to our newsletter right there on the homepage so that you can be brought up to speed all the time with exactly what's going on. So that in that way, you have an opportunity to talk to people, to see who's coming, talk to your friends, forward it to your friends, come with your friends to the conference, but you'll also see that you can go on the conference site and not only see the agenda, but register. And so register is all the way to the right. And when you register, you'll have two options. You can register for a basic general admission ticket, which will allow you to come to a conference. You'll get a link, you'll see all the talks, you'll do all the breakouts. If you want to have a really elevated home conference experience, I suggest you get the VIP ticket because then you get the conference box. And the conference box, which you know, Minna, you got one as well, is chock full of goodies to help you actually have an amazing conference experience day. Everything from a door tag hanger to let those in your personal space know that you are a woman speaking up and that to do not disturb so you can really enjoy your time at the conference. A notebook and a pen for you to actually take notes, information about the agenda, other information about the conference itself, a tumbler to keep you hydrated so you'll fill it with your favorite beverage, and a string bag so that you can walk around and show everyone that you are speaking up. And I think that, for us, we always put a book in our conference box to elevate your ability to see how are the women speaking up. And oftentimes those books are related to the conference speakers or one of the speakers' books. We're in the process now, actually, of putting together our resource bank because we have a lot of speakers that have books. And we're putting that piece of the puzzle, I'll call it, together so that we can continue to keep our speakers in front of the community of women with their messages, with their abilities to help people take a deep dive on that particular perspective. And when you go on our page and you go to the conference and you go to speakers, you'll notice, Minette, for you too, there's a speaker emeritus because we never let our speakers go off our website. Do you know why?
Why?
Because that way you're able to be found on our site when you speak for us even after the conference.
I
It's
didn't know
not like
that.
other conferences where they wipe you out and they replace you with somebody else. We don't do that because we know the power of being able to be seen on the internet and being able to be heard with your message and not just for the time that you're speaking.
That's amazing and so generous. And I have to tell you, I actually wrote my TED Talk in my Speak Up notebook with my Speak Up pen. It just
Oh, that's awesome.
it was so inspired to just, go through and through lines and layer it and all right there in that notebook. So the conference box really is inspiring. It really is nice. And now I have just one more question for you. Speaking up is not all about work. It's not all about, getting necessarily ahead or anything else. Once a year, you speak up for an experience. So maybe even swimming in shark tanks?
Yes, I do. I do. Actually, that's really funny. Yes, I do. I do for my birthday every year for many, many years now. I do something brand new I've never done every year. And that is what I did last year. I swam in a shark tank, a real shark tank, in a wetsuit. And I have gotten my motorcycle license. I've gotten certified in scuba diving. And one of the things that I do is I pick something that tickles my fancy, that becomes of interest. I'll see it and say, wow, that looks pretty cool. I think I'd like to do that. And so if every year is a brand new year and you get another trip around the sun, why not start it off with something brand new that is exciting and fun? And
Right.
so I never work on my birthday. Everybody who knows me knows that for many, many years, I haven't done that. I'm too busy going out and celebrating the fact that I was born on that day and that I came into this life and that I was granted and blessed with such an amazing opportunity to make a difference.
You're so wonderful. I appreciate you and admire you so very, very much. Thank you so much for joining me today. And let's get some people registered for that conference because what you put together changes lives.
Thank you. One of the things that I would love is for your listeners, your viewers, to go to speakupwomen.com. Check it out for yourself. If you go type in speakupwomen.com, great. If you're in Google and type up Speak Up Women and you want to test it for yourself, have some fun, do it. You'll see all our social media there. Our Instagram is at Speak Up Women Con. We're on Facebook, just search for Speak Up Women. When you go to LinkedIn, it's Speak Up Women Community. You can just type in Speak Up Women in the search, it'll come right up. We're on Twitter, Speak Up Women. When for us, we want to be where you are. We're not only expecting you to come to us. We want to go where you are. So we're there all the time. And you can get the inspiration and the positive jolt of joy whenever you want. And if you're feeling, oh, I have to make this client phone call. Oh, I got to go in and talk to this person. Oh, I need to make this phone call. Take a peek at our sites. Take a peek at our social. Take a peek at the latest newsletter. And most of all, take a listen at the conference and see what's in it for you, because I'm sure that you'll find lots of value. And I hope to see you there. And Minna, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you being on this podcast, doing this. What a wonderful way to speak up. Thank you for speaking up at the conference in October. Thank you for writing your beautiful articles that I hope your listeners will go to the speakupwomen.com site and read them on the blog. And for having me with you today, what an amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the 2KDs podcast for rebel business leaders generating more revenue and radical change. This episode was brought to you by the National Innovative Business Leaders Society, a professional organization working to lower barriers to innovation for executives and founders. Be sure to find them at www.nibls.org. And to make sure you never miss an episode of the 2K Days podcast, be sure to like and subscribe. See you next week.